At the beginning of its development, this sport was envisioned just as a fun method of coordination training, but the success was so overwhelming that it soon became an independent sport. I think that trampolining is a dynamic, spectacular, beautiful sport, and everyone who wants to learn how to fly, you're welcome. Ukrainian trampolinists will talk about motivation and ways in which such complex acrobatic aerial rotations are brought to perfection. Hi guys, hi. What are your names and what will you tell us today? Olena, Anton, Marina. Hello everyone, we're trampolinists and today we'll tell you about ourselves and our sport. Trampolining is a complex acrobatic sport which is developing well in Ukraine. Our national team has been bringing a lot of gold, silver and bronze medals recently. And now with the World Championship, the team will compete for the World Games license. More than 100 participants join the competitions in various categories. Of course, the higher the age bracket, the fewer athletes are there, since the competition gets tougher. There are many juniors and even more youths. I started trampolining at the age of 13. Before that, I used to do artistic gymnastics. Then destiny inspired a change. I somehow fell behind and switched to another sport. There is more focus on individual jumps here, and I can really show myself and what I am capable of. I always wanted to fly, and after all, this sport allows one to feel like flying. The transition from gymnastics to the trampoline was sometimes a little frustrating. When I saw the girls who worked with me on the national team bringing home medals, I thought that, could I have done it as well? But anyway, trampolining is also an exhilarating sport, so I really enjoy it to the fullest. I found a coach, he found the right approach. Plus, there's my best friend, with whom I started together in gymnastics and continued in trampolining, so it brings me absolute thrill and joy. I came to trampolining in 2004 after the Olympics in Athens. Back then, Yuri Nikitin, our trampolinist from Mykolaiv, won, and this impressed me a lot, so I told my father that I want to participate in this sport. I think the thing I enjoy best in trampolining is the feeling of flying itself, when you fly up to a height of 5 meters and pull some moves, like triple somersaults with screws, 540 and more. For me, it's a total adrenaline surge. I get high on this adrenaline. I took up trampolining many years ago, 20 to 21 years ago. Before the trampoline, I used to engage in rhythmic gymnastics, various dances and even karate. I switched to trampolining after rhythmic gymnastics because I was done with it and no longer liked it. So my mother started looking for some other form of sport for me. We came to a trampolining practice and she asked, "Did you like that?" And I said, "Yes." The only thing that bothered me was that there were a lot of boys. And she said, "Well, give it a try. You'll stay in the sport if you like it. I give you a month." So that month passed. It's been more than 20 years and I'm still here. In fact, sports life is such that I want to quit very often. And many athletes, I think, also think about quitting, but then they come back. And as for what attracts me to the sport, it's the adrenaline. The feeling I get while in flight is very cool, especially when I jump well and can do it all perfectly. There are various disciplines in trampolining: individual jumps, team jumps, synchronized jumps for women and men, and tumbling. Plus there is the double mini trampoline. I perform tumbling track jumps. I tried all disciplines. Let's just say not at a high or master level, rather at the first grade level. It's easy to try them all as long as you've achieved the level of master of sports in at least one of these disciplines. I chose tumbling, seeing as my friend got into this category. Somehow it happened that she told me how cool it is and how they travel to competitions. I really liked that and wanted the same for myself. And since they're quite similar, the switch from gymnastics to tumbling was smooth, as they both have the same elements. So within a year I managed to complete the requirements for Master of Sports of Ukraine. And I keep up my pace since I like this form of sport very much. I like best the elements that have flight in them. We have tempo jumps along the track, a 25-meter-long track, and I just fly along it. There are also elements like double somersault, and I just fly like a bird straight along the track and feel the adrenaline in this flight. It's very cool. One simply has to try in order to get this feeling and understand how cool it is. We engage in this form of sport that allows us to jump in any discipline. Essentially, I'm doing the same things. I think over the past year I found particular success in synchronized jumping. I have a partner from Kherson named Mykola Prostorov. We're close friends even outside the realm of sport. We have some kind of synchronization or something like that, and it's going quite well. I would like to succeed in individual jumps this year before the Olympics, so we shall see how things go. Favorite elements? I have some that I dislike. There are elements that I can't do well, but to say that they're my favorites, it's very difficult to single them out like that. We need to perform in all three disciplines, in team jumps, in synchronized jumps, and in individual jumps. I participate in all disciplines. I like synchronized jumps more because they're more difficult. I'm not jumping on my own, so I'm responsible not only for myself but also for my partner. We need to support each other, to feel each other and jump perfectly. Individual jumps are an entirely different thing, because they're an Olympic sport. I also like it a lot and it's very difficult as well, because there is a lot of competition there. There is a favorite element in individual jumps called 2 and 3. In Ukraine and directly here in Kiev, there are 2 sports schools that develop high-performance sports. And there are also clubs that do this. They also have professional trampolines, inflatable tracks, mini tramps, and here anyone, an adult or a young little child, tries themselves on the same equipment that Olympic champions used to perform their feats. We have intense training sessions. When we are approaching a competition in a month or 2, there's more training sessions, higher focus on general fitness, strength and stamina. We train and work on our technique, develop complexity. When the competition nears, the general fitness component decreases, and we switch our focus towards technique and complexity. When I was little and started artistic gymnastics, the training process started from 3 times a week, and we were developing flexibility and strength. After that, every year the amount of training increased, and when I was switching to trampolining, we already had training sessions every day, except on Sundays. The trainer inspires me during sessions, and my friends who compete with me inspire me as well. My friend and I often make a game out of it. She would perform some difficult element, and I'd follow her because she had already done it, or vice versa. I would be bolder and jump first, and then she would follow me. Since childhood, I had my first trainer, Anatoly Kelin. I'm grateful to him for everything I have achieved. He's such an old Soviet man who was a gymnastics coach initially. With me, he was quite strict, so during childhood I had very difficult training sessions. When all I wanted was to go out with friends, I had a training session. I went there after school and returned home in the evening only by 9 o'clock. I had training sessions 6 days a week, so it was quite a difficult and strenuous process. I'm constantly working to improve my skills, because it's my own desire and my own work that my results depend on. Accordingly, in addition to training sessions, in the morning I go jogging, for example, and jogging in the evening, and swimming in the pool. These are such integral parts of this sport, and I think that the more I work on my own, the better I will perform. I came to this sport after rhythmic gymnastics, so I was prepared physically, but everything was a little bit different here. So I had to start everything from scratch. A trampoline is a terrible thing, to be honest. I had to start everything over. Normal jumps first, then forward somersaults, backward somersaults, and then double and then triple, which I didn't really have a desire to learn. Training sessions were held 6 times a week, and the coach organized all of this. When I got older, I started to understand. Then I was selected to the national team of Ukraine and started going to the training camp. When I went to the training camp, it also had the same 6-day schedule, but there were 2 sessions a day in the morning and evening, each 2 to 3 hours long.
Сложности в спорте – это когда ты получаешь травму.
Difficulties in sports are when you suffer injury, when you fall down. I had one such moment when I was learning double somersaults, and I happened to land on my neck. Things weren't so bad. It was just a big bruise, but psychologically it affected me much more than physically. Then I had to step back a bit and regain some strength. Both me and the coach needed patience to leave this moment a thing of the past and simply go forward.
Чтобы это перешагнуть. И потом со временем этот страх ушел.
Трудно, наверное, в моем случае это ежедневно.
In my case, the most difficult thing is, I think it's the daily training sessions. But I won't say that they're an obstacle. It's just like the workouts I do every day. I just go to work out twice a day. Fear, of course, is present, and it often hindered me, because we have a very difficult and demanding sport. So it happens that my mind just gets overfilled by all the training. I may fall, and I'm afraid to perform some difficult element after that. I find it difficult psychologically rather than physically. I'm a young guy, so hard work doesn't scare me, but it's more difficult to endure the psychological stress of constant training.
Я готов работать. Психологически тяжелее переносить вот эту нагрузку, поражение, вот эту постоянную подготовку.
Самое сложное – это, наверное, когда ты готовишься.
Perhaps the most difficult part comes when preparing for a competition. Preparing, and it seems you're ready, but then you don't succeed. And you think, what is this all for?
Без трудностей не будет результата.
В Украине у нас в батутном спорте самые большие соревнования – это…
In Ukraine, the biggest competition in trampolining is the Championship of Ukraine. Sometimes we make it open so that athletes from other countries can visit us and compete. And there they select athletes for the national team, who go on to compete in the European Championships, World Cups, World Championships, World Games and the Olympics, though the latter is only for individual trampolining.
Олимпийские игры, но только в индивидуальных прыжках на батуте.
Performing in competitions, personally, I feel no worries when doing that. I go there to show what I had already practiced, and it's such a great atmosphere. The bleachers and the fans supporting you depending on the country, of course. Especially when I get to the finals, it's such a stir. Who will stand on the podium? I really enjoy this exciting moment. The buzz of the competition is the competition itself. I just go out and show what I can do, or fail to show. Is there some sort of community among Ukrainian trampolinists?
Да, существует мой…
Yes, there is. We communicate, make friends with people from other cities, and even directly communicate with those who've already left the sport. Do you know any athletes abroad? Of course we do. We communicate with them and always keep in touch with athletes from other countries. How will this sport develop here in the future? Our sport will continue developing very well, because our coaches make every effort to ensure this, and we support them. Guys, come and take up trampolining, and thank you for being with us. Bye!
Всем пока!